Good evening. Welcome to Activities of Daily Living, and I'm your host, LaKyla Tellis. I welcome you for my now third episode. I hope you have been able to tune in to the previous two episodes. Today we're going to talk about parenting. So I want you to sit back, relax, and join me here shortly. Okay, so let me ask you, how many parents, first of all, when you became a parent, how many of you received a handbook? Yes, who received a handbook? Taking care of children is probably one of the most challenging, entertaining, unpredictable, and just absolutely insane task to do. Now, I say this because, as you know, I am a mother of 4 amazing children. But guess what? All 4 of them, every single one of them, have a different personality. They have different moods and behaviors. So it's sometimes challenging trying to govern and take care of all these different minds. You can't treat them all the same, right? So, as a parent, please send me any tips and advice on how to handle these people, these little people. I would like to share with you, let's say, my oldest son, he's always been more of a loner, very independent. My second son, he started off as I mentioned before, as the mama's boy. But now he has grown to be his own young man. And he is very active. He's entertaining. He's creative. And sometimes I look at him like, where did this kid come from? Then we have my third child, my princess, my daughter, the only girl. She is she's very sensitive, very compassionate, and prideful. So I'm working on her with dealing with some things. But my 6-year-old, the last boy, whoo, Lord, he is hyperactive. He's fun. He's playful. He's also creative. He's a very busy child. And I get that. All of my children are different, so I have to treat them differently. I love them all the same. But here's what I want to tell you. I see often that parents may treat their children different because of who their father is. We're not parents, but mothers. Now, as a mother, I admit I have two different fathers for the two older children and a different father for the two younger children. But I do not treat my children based off who their father is, who's providing for them, who did I like the most. That's not fair to your children. I know personally it can be difficult at times. You know, when you've been in a relationship, things didn't go the way you wanted them to. But believe me and listen closely. It is wrong, flat out wrong. You should love your children unconditionally as who they are. You can't be mad if they look like their father. Don't be mad if he or she looks like, the relatives on the father's side. You know what? At one point, again, you cared for that man that you may have laid with to create your children. Love your kids. Love them. They need us. These are our future adults. These are our future doctors, nurses, lawyers. Take care of your children. Love on those children. Respect your children. Talk to your children. It breaks my heart sometimes to see how some parents may yell and scream and curse their children in a manner whereas they feel like the scum of the earth, like they're talking to an adult. Now, I'm not judging because I've yelled at my children before. I used to tell my sons that I only yelled because that's the only time you listen. And I'm sure it's other parents that say the same thing. But when you talk to your children in such a negative manner constantly, that puts a type of resentment in your child. Beware and be careful on how you speak to your children. Speak life into them. Motivate your children. Let them know that no matter what, they can be great. They will be great. Let them know that you love them. There are children in this world who do not hear, I love you. Moms, I know we have a hard and difficult road. But it's so important that we follow through with what we decided to do and be a mother. I understand it can be hard. I understand it can be difficult. I understand it can be painful. The struggle is something else. I know. But let me tell you, you are wonderful. So be wonderful to those children. And we'll be right back. Nurses, are you concerned or frustrated with your career in healthcare? I am LaKayla Tellis of Iconic Voice, and I educate frustrated nurses who want to increase their profits to discover the best way to utilize their nursing skills so that they can position themselves to build the business of their dreams, continue to lead and serve in their communities, and to gain the freedom to enjoy who and what they love. So contact me at LaKaylaTellis.com. Welcome back to Activities of Daily Living. Okay, so we left off talking about parenting. And parenting is so near and dear to me simply because I love it. I remember growing up, I wanted to have about 13 kids. I know people say, what is wrong with you, girl? Well, I looked at how my grandparents grew up. My grandmother, I think she was a daughter or sister of about 13 children. And I was just fascinated with that. Granted, they could farm, and look, I can't plant anything. Anything I get, it has to be grown already. So I love kids, their energy, their attitudes, their creativity, and their imagination. It's amazing. So I have a very sore spot, obviously, for children because they are innocent. They are our responsibility. I do believe it takes a village as well to raise children. I have a special message to those parents who doesn't like their child to be told anything. You deal with your child 24/7. Understand, yes, we should defend and protect our children, but our children have to be ready to socialize, ready to interact with others. They need to know the balance of right and wrong. They need to understand the importance of respect. And it is our jobs to teach them. It is our jobs to continue to protect them as well. But I know, again, it's hard being a parent. Right now, my worry is that I'm a mother of 3 young men. And the things that are happening around us every day, it's scary. It's terrifying that you see on the news a young man is shot jogging. A young man being chased in the car on a police chase and shot by an officer. He laughs. Laughs. It is terrifying. I'm afraid some days for my kids to leave. I'm worried about their safety. But guess what? I pray. I pray to God to watch over them. I pray for the angels to protect them. I really pray. Right now, we really need to come together as women, men, children, teens. We need to do something in our communities. Honestly, I do not know what to do. But I'm willing to do what it takes legally. I don't care if it's to protest, to sign a petition. We need to do something to make a difference in our communities. We need more control in our communities. We need to support the small businesses in our communities. We need to build the funds that we need to work together. I am LaKyla Tellis, and I am telling you straight out, I want to see a difference in our African American communities. I want to see a difference in our Hispanic communities. We need to come together and make the change so that our kids can have a better life. Somewhere safe to play. Somewhere safe to grow up and be that strong adult. I don't want my kids to live in the same fear that I have grown to have and worry. I don't know how it makes you feel, but I have so many friends that have been lost in the streets. I have people close to me who have lost very close relatives and friends. And guess what? I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. It is up to us to rebuild our communities and send love. It is up to us to fight for what we believe in. There are so many ways. We have so many platforms now to have a voice to make this come alive. We have come such a long way in our world, in our history. We know this. I do not want to turn on the TV and continue to see who was shot, who was murdered at a corner store, who was killed walking. This is my wish and prayer, that our communities get together. Let's rebuild our communities. Let's figure out and have these real conversations in our homes, with our children, with our brothers, with our cousins, uncles, whomever. And it's not just the guys. It's our females too. It's the women as well. We have to protect. We have to protect us. So, I know I went a little deep. So, I just want to say, we're going to take a break right here. But when we continue, I have a surprise in the next segment. It's for the nurses. And I am going to speak on nurse leadership etiquette. So, we'll be right back. Nurses, are you concerned or frustrated with your career in healthcare? I am LaKyla Tellis of Iconic Voice, and I educate frustrated nurses who want to increase their profits to discover the best way to utilize their nursing skills so that they can position themselves to build the business of their dreams, continue to lead and serve in their communities, and to gain the freedom to enjoy who and what they love. So contact me at LaKylaTellis.com. Now, I am a RN, registered nurse by profession, so I wanted to do something special for my nurses. So today's message or tip will be, know your staff. The reason I chose this is because I have been on both sides. I have been a nurse manager, nurse supervisor, whatever you want to call it. I have also been a floor nurse, and I've taught to my staff as a manager, in even just being a floor nurse. And there's certain things and qualities that staff look for in their nurse manager. And a nurse manager, you definitely are a leader. So the expectation is, 1, know your staff. It's unprofessional to not know who you hired, number 1. 2, who's taking care of the patients or residents in your facility. You should know the behaviors, the good and bad qualities of the staff that you hire. It's unfair to have someone there working for you and then you don't know them or even have a conversation with that staff member until they're in trouble, let's say. How unprofessional is that? How insulting is that? You should be able to build a professional relationship with your staff. No, you do not have to hang out and be buddies, go out for drinks or anything like that. But honestly, you should be able to know, hey, this is so-and-so. I know so-and-so is always on time. She is a parent, but she's a great worker. Great. But it's unfortunate if someone is a hard worker and you don't know them or anything about them. You've never thanked them for their work. But maybe they have poor attendance, let's say. And because it's their 3rd time late this month, or it was their 3rd or 4th call off, now they're getting called to the office. And now you want to have a conversation. But this same person, you see them in the hallways, you don't even know who they are for sure, or you do not speak to them when you see them. How is that even appropriate? How is that acceptable? You would not want your staff treating the patients or residents like that, correct? I know in all the facilities I work, we can't stand the words, "that's not my patient." Even though that patient is not part of that person's assignment, we know that every patient is our patient. So every staff member is your staff member. And you should treat them with the utmost respect, just as well you will expect from them. I know that the job is difficult. I know that sometimes in nursing, well, actually in a lot of times in nursing, we have a huge turnover in staff. But why is that? There are multiple reasons, but we won't go into that just yet. Right now, I would just like to discuss some of the things that we deal with. One, we know that sometimes we get patients and we have several admissions, but that can be time consuming. Working short staff, working with people who have poor attitudes or slackers. But it's important that you know your staff needs you. Listen to what they have to say. Don't argue with your staff. That's not the point of this. You don't want to cause confrontation. The point is, get to know who you hire. Get to know who you are working with. It's an awesome, awesome thing when you can build a relationship with the people that you hired, with the people that you depend on and trust. Your nurses, your CNAs, housekeeping, anybody, dietary. These are the staff members that are your eyes and ears. I'm sure, and I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure they would go an extra mile for you if they felt like they could, number one, trust you, two, respect you, and three, if they felt like they could depend on you as well. Will you have their back? Is that something that they can actually feel like, okay, I trust my supervisor. I know my leader needs me. I've worked in facilities, and you know, those types of leaders do not last when they do not know their staff and all they want to do is bark at people. It's just unprofessional, especially in healthcare. How can we ask our staff members to show compassion and to understand what that means when we don't show it ourselves? It's not being soft, so to speak. It's not being weak either. But it is important. Show empathy for the people that you work with. I've worked in facilities with amazing leaders. I mean, I've watched nurses work hard and they worked fair, as difficult as their decisions were. I remember once I worked with a director of nursing. And it was early in my nursing career, within my first maybe 5 or 6 years of being a nurse. And I felt like I was not chosen for a certain position. And it made me upset. And I thought it was so unfair. But guess what? As time grew, and as I grew as a person, I understood, you know what? She was right in her decision. And yes, of course, I wanted the extra money. But now mentally, as I have grown as a nurse, you know what? I was not ready. I was not prepared. I was not qualified for that. So, it was difficult for me to accept it at that moment. But I know that I had grown tremendously when I understood why I wasn't chosen. Now, I didn't hold a grudge about it. But I understood. 1, she had a difficult choice to make. 2, she had to think about what was best for the team, what was best for the company, what was best for our patients. And she was absolutely right. I was not ready. But anywho, as I was saying, nurse leaders, we have difficult jobs to fulfill. We have many roles other than what we may be hired for and tasks to accomplish. It is very, very necessary to continue to do a great job and also build that relationship with your staff. Once you do that, you will build an amazing team that will back you up and impress you beyond your own belief. And I've seen it happen. I've seen staff that just not necessarily worship their nurse manager, but they respect the manager they work under. They will do their best to make things happen. Now, I'm not saying don't crack the whip, or maybe that's not the right words to use, but I understand you have to discipline staff. I understand it can be overwhelming with everything, but take the advice that you give to your staff to smile, to say hello, to just say, hey, how are you doing today? More than likely, you already know they're going to be like, oh, I'm great, I'm fine. But just because you're taking an extra step and just showing some type of attention, that's great. That is awesome. So, that is my first tip for nurse leadership etiquette. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Activities of Daily Living. I want you to follow me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, LaKyla Tellis Speaks. On Instagram, I am iconic_voice. And please visit my website, LaKylaTellis.com. Nurses, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. If you ever have any questions, comments, or topics you may want me to discuss on my show, please reach out to me at my email, choosehappy@LaKylaTellis.com. Now, remember, I want you guys to stay safe, stay strong, and choose happy. Thank you for tuning in.